Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, how to voice radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you a new Stunfisk card coming out in the Sun and Moon 7A Thunderclap Spark expansion of the Pokemon trading card game over in Japan. And this one could be pretty gosh darn useful. Now, this was revealed on the official website, and the translation comes from Google Translate. I will obviously, as I've been doing, pop the translation on the screen as we go along. But as always, I have checked it with the lovely David Hochmann just to make sure Google isn't misleading me. So, what does Stunfisk do? Well, if we look at the basics, it's got 110 HP, which is pretty low. It means that you are being easily one-hit KO'd by something like a Zoroark, for instance. But then again, it's in line with Tapu Koko, and you're a non-GX basic giving up one prize. So to be honest, you can't really have everything. It's got a retreat cost of 3, and with Heavy Ball and Floatstone both rotating, there's no real bonus to having a high retreat cost nowadays. And it's not like we can just ignore it. It now just flat out sucks. Weakness to fighting is annoying because of Buzzwole, but what I will say is, Buzzwole with a Diancie Prism Star and weakness will be hitting for 100 here, and you've got 110, so actually, unless they're using their 1 per deck beast energy, they won't be one-hit KOing you, which is nice. Resistance to metal is always good. It means a Duskmane Necrozma won't be 2-hit KOing you, which is nice. And it means that if something like a Registeel comes around, they will be doing, as I like to put it, naff all. And of course, it's a lightning Pokemon, which at the moment is great. It means that you've got Thunder Mountain, which is quite nice because it reduces your energy cost by 1. And you've got Electro Power, which means that your attacks do an extra 30 damage. You've got Ether Paradise Conservation Area to reduce damage, although your opponent can always Field Blow or just replace it before doing the damage. You've got Zera Aura, which gives you free retreat if you've got Lightning Energy attached to it. My point is this: it is a good time to be a Lightning Pokemon if you ignore the weakness. So the first attack here is your classic Flail attack. This attack does 10 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, or as Google Translate puts it, the number of Damsaken is damage counters, I've figured that out over a number of these things, on this Pokemon times 10 damage. Makes perfect sense, as long as you realise that Damsaken is damage counters. So, it's a Flail attack. It's not bad. I'd really like 130 HP. Now, if we go back to the Champion Road Donphan, and incidentally, Donphan's got the exact same attack, which is how I know Stunfisk's attack is correct, because it's the same as Donphan, look at the text. It's quite nice. Donphan has 130 HP, so we can take a hit from something like a Zoroark or a Silvally without being KO'd, and then hit 120 for 1 energy. Great news for Stunfisk, it can do it for 1 colourless energy, and it's a basic Pokemon. Bad news, it's only got 110 HP. Now, with an Ether Paradise Conservation Area out, then you take 30 less from attacks, which means something like a Zoroark would actually only be doing 90, and then you can do 90, and that's cool. But like I've said, that stadium, it's up to your opponent whether that stadium's in play when they attack. If they Field Blower it, bad news bears. And look, if you can get your opponent to do 100 damage to you, that's a one-hit KO on a Ho-Oh, which is awesome. Problem is, that's very unlikely to happen. Now, your opponent might do this with a Buzzwole, for instance, at which case, well, there's not going to be a Ho-Oh on the field. Then again, maybe you don't mind. Maybe Buzzwole hits you for 100, and then you hit Buzzwole for 100. We're getting counter game coming out. If you're behind on prizes, this reduces the attack cost by 1 colourless energy. Well, you know what? Great, because now this is essentially free. And you're doing 100 damage. I can live with that. I like this. There aren't many things that are going to do exactly 100 damage, although Buzzwole with Diancie Prism Star does come to mind. But it's just a nice Pokemon to just leave chilling out on the bench. Now, let's say for argument's sake your opponent is able to do 70 damage to you. Then you can add a Choice Band and all of a sudden that is a one-hit KO on something like a Ho-Oh. There is a lot to like about this. I don't know if this is a reason to play the card, What I can tell you is it's a great little bonus, and it's going to force your opponent to adapt their strategy. They can no longer just do 60 damage to you. They've now got to really think about how much they're doing for fear of reprisals. That's what I really like about this Stunfisk. It forces your opponent into situations that, quite frankly, they'd probably rather not be in. It's not as good as Donphan, because Donphan hits weakness on Zoroark and has 130 HP, but it's a basic that does it for one colourless energy, which means you can take it into any deck whatsoever at the cost of just one space in your deck. That alone makes it interesting. As for the second attack, 50 damage, discard one lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. Or as Google Translate puts it, I am about this Pokemon lightning energy trash one. I love that, and it's a literal translation, right? So mine will be how Japanese people actually talk when they play the game, but I love that it's referred to as trashing when I use Google Translate. It makes me very, very happy. You have to discard a lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. Now, the ruling and the exact wording on this is going to be very, very important. I believe it's just discard a lightning energy attached to this Pokemon, and if it is, then that means you can use Thunder Mountain, and this is just 50 damage for 0 energy, which is awesome. And although your opponent can't play a Field Blower to get rid of Thunder Mountain, they can just replace it with their own Stadium, and this might not be the best use of Thunder Mountain, but it's there. Because generally speaking, if we take something like the old Reshiram with Blue Flare, essentially here, you did the damage, and then you discarded the energy. Now that was very relevant, because let's say for argument's sake a Zoroark came in, well, Zoroark could copy that attack for a double colourless energy. But it didn't have 2 fire energy on, so you didn't need to discard the energy. Now that could also be used to copy a Black Kyurem EX. And Black Kyurem EX said that you had to discard 3 energy. Well, Zoroark would only have 2 energy on, so you would discard both of them. I.e., when it's just you have to discard the energy, then the ruling is you discard as much as you can. You can use the attack, because Thunder Mountain says that it costs 1 lightning less. You do the 50, you look to see if there's any energy. Oh no, that's sad. Now, we do occasionally have Pokemon like the good Lugia EX from Plasma, although the other one wasn't too shabby, which specifically says discard a Plasma energy. If you can't discard a Plasma energy, this attack does nothing. Well, in that situation, it's very obvious. I believe we're in the former category here. I think Thunder Mountain makes this a free attack. But, as with all of these things that are a little bit more complicated, we will have to wait for an official English language version of this card. We will have to wait for the confirmation before we can be 100% sure. And this is a decent little attack. 50 damage for 1 energy or potentially 0 energy. Now, you're not doing enough damage, just be clear about that. You come up against something like an Empoleon, and all of a sudden, you're doing 100 damage. That's not enough. You come against something like a Ho-Oh, you add a Choice Band, you're doing 160 damage. That's not enough. This is another one of those attacks, right? There's a huge difference between 50 and 60, and I ideally wish this did 60. Zorua, he gone. Routes, he gone. Beldum, he gone. You see where I'm going with this? There are a lot of 60 HP basics you could get with this. The fact that you're only doing 50 kind of sucks. And we're going to be in a format where fighting Fury Belt has rotated, which means you can't even do the extra 10 damage that way. You've always got Electro Power. You can always do the extra 30 with Electro Power, but then you're using an Electro Power to take out something like a Routes, which I don't think is good enough. Don't get me wrong, there will be games where your opponent has got like a Tapu Lele and a Routes on the field and they really don't have any options, at which point KOing that Routes pretty much locks them out of the game, in which case you go knock out that Routes. But outside of that, generally speaking, Electro Power's a waste. I don't mind this, it's pretty nice. I wish it did 60. If it did 60, I would like it so much more, because then with a Choice Band Forbidden Shrine, you would be getting a one-hit KO on a Ho-Oh. And you'd be getting a straight one-hit KO on these 60 HP basics. 10 more damage would make a huge, huge difference. But as a moot point, it only does 50. If it did 60, I would adore this. It does 50, so I quite like it. And you've always got flail to fall back on. I'm assuming it's called flail. I mean, Google Translate calls it jellyfish. I'd love it if that was true, but I'm sure it's like flail. It's usually flail. Anyway, it's a nice Pokemon. And also, it's going to be nuts in pre-releases, right? In pre-releases, this is going to be great. As it stands, it's got 2 useful attacks. If Thunder Blast did 60, then it would be amazing. It only does 50, so it's good, it's useful, it's worth putting in your deck. I'm giving it 3 Wossies. I think it's the kind of card that you'll play here and there as a fun little tech, but I think the second attack is 10 damage short of greatness. But I don't know what you think. Let me know if it is 10 damage short of greatness, or let me know if I'm 10 damage short of greatness, because I'm talking rubbish. In the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out my video game / Dragon Ball Super channel, Wassy Plays, for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for listening. My name's Ross, and you've been watching and listening to PTCG Radio.